So I've walked into this place just looking to chill, smoke a bit of weed, whatever, you know what I mean? And there's something going on in the kitchen. They're playing some tunes, and I'm like, damn, like, what's going on? Oh, there's a radio station in there. You know what I mean? So me, being someone who was always banging some music, ended up in the kitchen. And I was just sort of jamming in there. A couple of people said to me, a guy called MC that I was talking to was like, oh, what do you do then? What do you do? At the time, I was just like a kid in my bedroom with an interest, you know what I mean? And then he was sort of there. He knew I had an interest in it, and he was the one who just sort of was talking on the mic, and then he went... I went home and I was like, damn, I was on radio today. I only went to go out with my cousin for a couple of hours and ended up on radio. I better get some lyrics together. I can do this, 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 and this. Why are you just focusing on this one?
We're going to go straight into an interview, not going to do the introductions and whatever. So today, who do we have here?
MC Vapour.
The first thing I want to address is I heard of you about 20 years ago. I didn't even know what the word viral meant, but I just remember people constantly talking about you on a certain forum that I was on, and to many, you are the first person that went viral. Explain that.
You're not the first person to say that. A few people have said that before. I think the thing was, I come up on the pirate radio, like pirate radio culture was massive when I was coming up. And so when I first got into it, I came up in in a window, if you like, where garage was transitioning into grime. So there was like a little window of a couple of years where it was like coming off the back of garage and morphing into something else. So when I came along doing what I do, I was a bit different from the rest. I don't really think there was anyone else who was doing my kind of style back then. So what started to happen was you didn't have social media back in them days. I'm talking about like year 2000, even like 1999, but early year 2000. Before you had social media, you had like chat rooms and, like you say, forums and chat rooms. And people used to record clips of my radio shows and put them onto chat rooms and forums. So what happened was people used to share music via... If there's youngsters watching this now, they might not even know what Bluetooth was. But Bluetooth was an early form of sharing music, sharing files. So you could Bluetooth someone a picture if they wanted, you know what I mean? Bluetooth someone your favourite song. So what happened was people used to make clips or crop clips of me on pirate radio and Bluetooth them to their friends. So then there was a couple of clips that were created of mine that were then Bluetoothed around and Bluetoothed and Bluetoothed and Bluetoothed and Bluetoothed until you'd have people in Australia. This is back in year 2000. You know what I mean? People in Australia saying, "Oh, I got this fucking track, mate." Do you know what I mean? Have you heard Halloween by MC Vapour? You know what I mean? So before I even knew it, it was never a song. I didn't release it. I didn't put it out. But I'd do stuff, and people would create a clip of it, put it on Bluetooth, and it literally went around the world. So before I even knew it, I was doing pirate radio in my local hometown. You know what I mean? The radio station was probably 15 minutes from my house. But what I did on that pirate radio station went right the way around the world via Bluetooth sharing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because, like I said, it wasn't necessarily my scene. I was into underground UK hip hop. I was into hip hop. So for me to hear about it was something.
I mean, since 2002, I make all sorts. So I had hip hop tracks, early kind of hip hop tracks in 2002 and things like that. So maybe I ended up on the hip hop forums because maybe they heard a clip of something that I did that wasn't garage. But most of the stuff that I was doing on the pirate radio stations was that transitioning window of what we called dark garage. It was the darker side of garage at the time. So maybe it was either a thing where the people heard the hip-hop bits that I was doing, or if not, they heard something different that was more lyrical than anything else that anyone in garage was doing.
Basically, when I heard a couple of little bits, because a friend of mine introduced me to LionWire, and I think there was another one called Kazar.
Kazar, Bear Share.
Bearshare,
LimeWire, Napster for a little
Napster, yeah,
while as well.
Napster as well. But it was LimeWire distinctly that I remember.
LimeWire, yeah,
Right?
my name dominated LimeWire. You know what I
But
mean?
what?
You'd download tracks that were not even listed as my name, and it would be me on the track. You know what I mean? It was hard to download any file on LimeWire and it not have me on it somewhere.
Yeah, that's crazy. When I was listening to a lot of the music that was sort of in the genre that you were in, to me, a lot of it was just too happy-go-lucky. Yeah, but yours came with kind of more a darker sound, like you said.
Well, yeah, it's like I say, I kind of did my thing during a window where there was a lot of people were trying new things at the time. So it's like if you go back to like 2000 and early 2003, maybe even before that, there were some terrible productions that were just people in their bedrooms making some tracks. You know,
Casio.
some of them took off. Some of them didn't. Some of them were dreadful, but some of them were good enough to cut through, and people were like, "No, it's got a vibe to it." You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just a time where and it was different as well, bro, because like the internet has changed things massively. People were actively like making tracks. You could go get that track pressed on record, drive around with records in your boot, and sell these hard copies to people. All them days are gone, bro. The whole pirate radio and dub plate days, like that whole culture is of a certain time. I wish I could bring it back, but it's gone. You know what I mean? Because the times have just changed, and the internet is everything nowadays. So
Let's go back to your beginnings. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to get to know you.
I was born in Barking Hospital, grew up in Romford, Harold Hill in Romford, and like I say, there was a pirate radio station in the area.
Was that Force FM?
False FM,
Right.
yeah. I used to listen to False FM before I even like. I never had a dream to be on radio or anything like that. So the way things happened for me were kind of that. I kind of fell into positions. I was with my cousin one day, and he was knocking about with a group of kids. We were kids at the time, you know what I mean? So he was knocking about with a young group, and they were going to like Rise Park, which is a part of Romford, and I rolled with him one day. No one said to me that where we were going had a pirate radio station coming from the kitchen. So I've walked into this place just looking to chill, smoke a bit of weed, whatever, you know what I mean? And there's something going on in the kitchen. They're playing some tunes, and I'm like, damn, like, what's going on? Oh, there's a radio station in there. You know what I mean? So me, being someone who was always banging to music, ended up in the kitchen. And I was just sort of jamming in there. A couple of people said to me, a guy called MCA that I was talking to, was like, oh, what do you do then? What do you do? At the time, I was just like a kid in my bedroom with an interest, you know what I mean? And then he was sort of there. He knew I had an interest in it, and he was the one who just sort of was talking on the mic, and then he went and just handed me the microphone. Didn't even really know what to do with it, you know what I mean? I was just handed a microphone, was chatting some shit for a little while, didn't even really have any lyrics, and it's like I've always said, it was that kind of moment that I thought, I went home and I was like, damn, I was on radio today. I only went to go out with my cousin for a couple of hours and ended up on radio. I better get some lyrics together, you know what I mean?
So that's where it all began.
That's kind of where it didn't begin there, because I was always like I always used to MC with my boys from school on our decks in our bedrooms. You know what I mean? I had a couple of lyrics to begin with, but that really was the point where I thought there's a platform there now. Whether I was looking for that platform or not, there's a platform there. You know what I mean? And I was then surrounded by people who had the same interest, because my cousin didn't. You know what I mean? I was rolling around with him. His thing was more chilling, smoking weed, just like, you know what I mean? A group of kids driving around in cars, because you used to modify your own cars in the 90s. And it was more of a thing where going there kind of changed the course of my interest.
Made you realize something was possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Generally, if me as an artist, if I walked into somewhere and it was a kitchen, I'm not sure if I would take it serious. You know, until obviously you hear and you see the production values.
It's not even that. It's not even that, because when I walked into the kitchen, this was some crusty kitchen with like two different looking decks. It weren't even like, you know what I mean? It was a Technics 1200 and a Technics 1210 with a rusty mixer in the middle, you know what I mean? So it weren't something that I walked in there and went, wow, look at the production, but the phone was popping off.
All right.
So you knew people were listening, and these people are like, oh, I'm locked in here. Shout out to Zoe, Chloe and
Dowie.
Dowie, yeah. You know what I mean? So it was just like, wait, there's people locking into this, you know what I mean? So even though I didn't have a platform to begin with, whatever I was saying was being heard, you know what I mean? So it weren't really what was happening inside that studio. It was what was happening outside.
Do you think it would be different now with the visuals if people could see? Because
Bro, it's
obviously
totally
they couldn't
different
see.
now. It's totally different.
So if people were to see that, do you think they would take it serious now? Or it would be like, oh, that's a joke thing?
Nah, bro, because it wasn't about what was inside. The studio was just a room to be able to make something happen. And the vibe that we created in that room, you know what I mean? Like empty Stella cans being used as ashtrays. You know what I mean? It was a bit scummy, bro. It was a bit scummy, but that was the way it was. It was middle of summer. You're absolutely sweating. You can't open the windows because you can't have the neighbours know that there's a pirate station coming from in here. So you know what I mean? It wasn't really about, like I say, it weren't what was going on inside the studio. As long as that was a means to reach the people outside.
To you as the artist, you don't care. To me as an artist, I wouldn't care as long as I can do my recording, do my...
Yeah, but that's how it was back then.
Right.
Nowadays, I mean, look where we are now, bro. You've got a big plush studio with your name on the wall and all this. You know, back in them days, bro, that would have been serious dough to be able to do something like that.
But what I'm saying is if now the cameras are on, everything's visible to the general public, do you think the public would have seen that set up and not taken it serious? That's what I'm asking.
No, not back then. Not back then, because I'm telling you now, there was people who would be like, oh, you're from Force FM.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was a big name. It was sick. Bro, you're on Force. What's it like? You know what I mean? I could have said to them, oh, it's just some crusty kitchen with a rusty cooker in the corner.
So for everybody
you know what I mean?
watching...
But for anyone who would they'd still be, yeah, but you're on Force. Yeah. That's cool. I'd love to go up there. They might even walk in there and think, well, fucking hell, I weren't expecting this. I was expecting, you know what I mean, a big radio station. But that's because the vibe that they were getting from outside was something that they wanted to be part of.
When did Force start?
Force started before I was part of it, so I remember listening to it in... I think it started in 1993, maybe 4, but I think it started in 93.
And when did you join?
I joined in the very end of 97.
Okay, so even before you started making records and stuff.
Oh, 100%, bro.
So it wasn't like you turned up there.
I finished school in 1998. I was going and doing radio shows and then leaving my radio show to jump on a bus and go do my exams.
But what I'm saying is, you went there purely by accident. Then you got involved in the sense of someone handing you a mic.
Yeah.
And then they took you on. It wasn't like wait till you make a couple of records and build your name and then come here. So you joined.
Nah, so it was more of a thing where nothing was planned. Nothing was planned. I ended up in this place. I ended up being handed a mic. I ended up going home and writing lyrics, which I then ended up going back to this place and doing the lyrics. Anyway. And then I ended up with people saying, what time's that guy on? What time's he on? So I started to make a listenership for myself without even planning to do it. You know what I mean? People just kind of like I say, I probably had about 4 lyrics. They were probably dreadful. You know what I mean? But because of the timing of it, it just happened to be a time where I was coming with something that nobody else was coming with. So then it got to a point where it just started to organically snowball. You know what I mean? And it would get bigger and bigger. And then it got to a point where it changed studios, and it was like, right, we're going to be broadcasting like entire days long all week. We're going back full time kind of thing. Do you want a show? You know what I mean? So then I ended up with a show, which was a regular show with a regular time slot, which then got regular listeners. DJ Contrast I think was the first person that I had an established show with. So shout out to Contrast. And then like some of the dynamics changed, and Contrast DJ his set time changed to a different hour. And then I joined DJ BOD, who was on like Sunday 8 till 10. So my slot time was Sunday 8 till 10. With Contrast, it was like a Saturday afternoon, 4 till 6 or something, or 2 till 4. 2 till 4, so we called it the Sunday Roast Show. So I did the Sunday Roast Show with Contrast in the early, this is like year 2000. And we'd do different things. Like once I was like, well, I'm on radio now, what can we do? What can we do to make our show a bit different from everyone else? We'd go on a day out to Alton Towers, and I'd take, at the time, there was mini discs. I had a mini disc player, so I went on Nemesis and Oblivion with my mini disc tucked in, recording, and then I'd record the thing and do a competition based on what did I scream on the way down. You know what I mean? So then I was just trying to do things to make my show something a little bit different.
So you had that creative thing in you?
Yeah, I just had a little bit of a drive for it, because I knew that everything I was doing, whether it was intentional or not, people were locking in. people were interested. They wanted more. So I did the thing with Contrast for a bit. Then the dynamic changed on the station. I ended up going with BOD on a Sunday night, 8 till 10. And that was where most of them recorded clips I was talking about, that's where they come from. So I was doing shows with BOD and people were recording the shows. And I remember someone saying to me as well, I'd be chilling in my house with all of my boys round. There'll be 15 of us and then it'd get to 5 to 8 and I'm in my room on my own. Everyone's gone home back to their own house to sit and concentrate on your show. Just listen to it on their own so that they can focus. You know what I mean? And that's when I was like, people are really locking into this now, you know what I mean?
Did it kind of inspire you to go, right, I need to make a record, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to get my business in order? What happened next?
Well, for a start, I've never really been a business-minded kid, especially not at that age. I just wanted to do the music. Making a bit of a name for myself back then was a bit of a thing. You know what I mean? I was enjoying that. I'd go places and people. To begin with, it was radio. Like I say, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have cameras on you all the time. So I was a voice. People would listen to the radio and go, "That's Vapour." 100 people could walk past me in the street. No one knew it was me. There was no face to the voice. So eventually, when I started doing live shows and people would come to the thing, they're going, "Where's Vapour? Where's Vapour? Oh, that's him there." What, Vapour's white? You know what I mean? People just didn't know what to expect. It was just they conjured up an image of me in their own head. You know what I mean? So it was a thing where I was just going around. I was getting more popular than I could keep control of before I knew it. There was people with, I think the first event we did that I was part of was called Sugar and Spice. And I was there, no one knew it was me. And when they said, when it was my time to go on for my show, I stepped into the thing. And I think someone said, up next you got, I think it was DJ Easy at the time or something like that. Yeah, it was Easy I was on with. And they said, oh, up next, DJ Easy, MC Vapour. Bro, everyone in this place, it was only a little place, it had like 500 people. Everyone in this place just went and just crowded round the DJ stand, and it was like everyone in that place was there to see me. So, like I say, I didn't know how to handle anything like that.
So, was your name on the flyer for that?
Yeah.
So
my name was on the flyer,
came,
but people knew the name and the voice. They didn't know the face.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, like back in the day, I was never business-minded. I just wanted to do the music. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a thing like, oh, I have to like get my shit in order and I have to have a business plan. It was just things were happening before I could sort of, you know what I mean? I couldn't even really grasp it. I was just doing me.
Let's look in hindsight and just go, what if you did grasp it? What do you think could have happened then?
Bro, well, there's people like Majestic on Kiss FM. I always sort of give him credit because there's a few things that he said about me. He was like, I don't think he'll deny he was a fan of me coming up. You know what I mean? The first time I met Majestic, he was sitting on a seat next to me, and again didn't even know he was sitting on a seat next to me. So when someone said, "Oh, Vapour said da 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 da," and Majestic went, "Oh, you know Vapour?" and they went, "You're sitting next to him," and his face was kind of like, well, he just was not expecting that. You know what I mean? But he said to me, he was one of the people that said, I remember he tweeted once saying Vapour is the first viral MC. Vapour was viral before viral was a thing. And he also said along the lines of, if you did have your business shit together, I'd have been gone. I'd have been one of the biggest things to come out of this country.
I see what I'm saying. That's why I asked that question. Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine what would have been possible. So with that in mind, do you have any regrets for not getting your business in order for that time?
Yes and no, and I say no because that's just not my character. I'm a creator. You know what I mean? I'm an artist. I'm not. Back in the day, bro, you'd have the artist, you'd have the business, and somewhere the lines got crossed, and it became a thing where you have to be your manager, your director, your music video, your producer. You know what I mean? Everyone's got to manage themselves now. Especially with the rise of the internet, you've got to do all your own admin. You've got to do all your own everything. So it's like I keep saying, times have changed. But for me, do I wish that I'd have put myself in positions where I'd have got signed? And even back in the year 2000, maybe got like a 50 grand deal for back then. That would have been good, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course, it would have been really nice. But that's just not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm someone who just rode the wave as it was at the time. my name was growing faster than anyone from round my way. You know what I mean? And there was like even areas that I hadn't touched yet in London. People knew exactly who I was, and I've never been there. You know what I mean? So that for me was like.
So what do you think made you stand out as opposed to like the people that were your competition at the time?
I didn't really have any competition at the time. That's what I'm saying. What I was doing was different. So you'd have MCs and you'd have people who had like bubbly lyrics. I was a bit fucking hardcore. You know what I mean? It was a thing where, and I never had this thing where I was like, oh, that's a bit too much. That's a little bit, or that lyric's going on too long. People will get bored. I just did what I wanted to do. There was no, that won't work. That, oh, you can't be longer than 3 minutes. You can't. It weren't like that.
No
it was
rules.
just raw, bro. It was raw. You know what I mean? It was just you do what you do. If they don't like it, fuck them.
You've obviously linked up with quite a few big names. A couple of them are personal friends of mine and everything, and you've done work with loads of other people, blah, blah, blah. First of all, what's the biggest highlight for you? Apart from going viral before anyone else went viral.
Yeah, but even that weren't a highlight.
You're
It's
joking.
just something that just happened. It's just
Did you
happened.
even understand it at the time?
No, not at the time. Not at all.
So now
Not
you
at all.
look back at it.
It was just a bit, very large number of people say, oh, I've got that. Have you heard this? Have you heard this? Have you heard this? But I'd go to places, bruv, and people could not believe they were meeting me. And it was weird to me because I hadn't grasped how big I'd got at the time.
Well, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say, come on, bro. At some point, you must have gone home and gone, fuck, I could do so much more with this. Why didn't you?
Well, I'll say A, because I wasn't really business minded, but I didn't know. I was learning as I was going. So there's even things that I've done now that I think, shit, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that way. You know what I mean? I didn't know at the time. You can only ever look at it in hindsight and realise you made a mistake. You don't think, oh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and make a mistake. You know what I mean? On purpose. So it's only in hindsight that you look back and you think, shit, I wish I'd have done something different. Same way you have an argument or something, you come back and you look back and think, wish I'd have said that. You know what I mean? It's too late. It's done. You're always learning.
And what have you learned that you brought into the future with you now?
Well, quite a lot, but again, so much has changed. So if you put today me back in 2000 me, a lot of it would be irrelevant. Because a lot of what we had to work with in 2000, it's all obsolete. It don't even exist anymore. It's not there. So there would be a lot of things that, you know, I've learnt from, but I'm still learning because things are still changing, if that makes sense. So like for example, dealing with like your own YouTube channel, and it's best to do this, and you can't have this because it won't reach as many people as this. Fucking headache to me, bro. It is headache to me. You know what I mean? So ideally, in an ideal world, I'd have someone who would go, just record. When you're done, send it to me. And I'd have that person there to bring back that artist business. You know what I mean? Because when it starts getting crossed over, same thing with like, I'm really good at English. I'm really good with words. Give me numbers and maths, shit. You know what I mean? So it's like certain things, my brain just goes, nah, I'm not in that. And certain things, my brain goes, yeah, I'm interested in this. I'm on a roll. You know what I mean? So it's like I can record something and do the creative bit, and I really enjoy it. And as soon as it comes to that, having to admin and do this and sit down for an hour, and that's when I start going, I just lose interest. So ideally, in an ideal world for me, it would have been good for someone with the right mind to come along and go, I see a gold mine in you. Let's work. You do what you do. When you finish, send it to me. They take it, and I go and carry on creating while they do what they do. Would have been ideal, but no one ever come along. People did come along, but they were always trying something themselves, taking a gamble on me. You know what I mean? So it was always a thing where the right person never come along.
It's about the right person, isn't it? As an artist myself, I've always said, it's amazing that I know 100,000 people. I've met so many people throughout my life.
Yeah,
But
same.
it's just waiting for that one person.
Of course, bro, listen, in the most polite way, bro, I have met so many people that I didn't even remember 2 days later. You know, you meet people, they come, they go. You know what I mean? There's very few people that actually really make a stand. And especially like you could say people make a stand and you know them for 4 or 5 years, and then your lives go in different courses and things like that. Is even fewer people. You can count them on one hand, the people who are still there 25 years later. Do you know what I mean?
And it is very instant. It's now. Oh yeah, I was sitting
You
with
meet
him, and
people
then they go home and it's forgotten.
all the time.
I mean,
And this is the thing, bro. I'll get people say to me, Vapour, oh, do you remember when I phoned up the radio on the 9th of November, 1998? And I'm like, no, bro, you were one of about 20,000 people just that afternoon. You know what I mean? So you like, it's not. You could get people that meet me and think, oh, he was a bit of an arsehole, you know what I mean? He didn't remember meeting me on the 9th of November 1998, or he didn't remember receiving my text on the studio phone. You know, to them, that's another thing I've realised. To me, there's thousands of people, thousands of moments.
to them, it's just you.
To that one person, there's that one individual moment. And that's what they have, and that's what they hang on to. To me, it's just one moment out of millions.
So you hear that? All of you people out there, when you see superstars, when you see anybody that you respect and rate, just remember, like, there's a lot of people there that approach them. It's not one person.
If I walked through the crowd in a club and everyone wants to say something, I've got to deal with talking to everyone. But all of them individuals only have to have one conversation.
And they remember.
I have to have 10,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a difference of perspective. So really, everyone who talks to me, you've got 10 seconds. And once I start the next conversation, I forgot that 10 seconds. Whereas that 10 seconds to you is your 10 seconds, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of MCs that kind of stay in their field. With you, it was kind of difficult to kind of go, right, what does he do? Is he junglist? Is he garage? Is he hip-hop? Is he... Because you've done everything. And you've done everything.
Yeah, but that's where I'll say, like, that's what makes me an MC. I'm an MC. I'm not a rapper. I tried to do the rapper thing because I can. I tried to do that, you know what I mean? I dropped the MC part for a bit and just called myself Vapour, or switched the C to an R and it was Mr. Vapour. You know what I mean? But that's because I can do everything. But it's like I was saying to you earlier, people's heads don't compute with that. They like to pigeonhole. So I'll do hip hop and I'll say Vapour and they'll go, what garage MC Vapour? Or I'll do drum and bass and they'll go, what Vapour on? Well, garage MC Vapour. You know what I mean? Every time it comes back to that. And it's like I said to you, you can say I'm the greatest. If no one else thinks you're the greatest, you ain't the greatest. So you are what other people say you are. You know what I mean? Your status is really the status that you're given by other people.
Is that not something you created yourself, though?
Well, I put in the work. You know, I could have put in 25 years' work. And everyone just gone, nah, shit, it's too different, don't want to listen to it. Then I wouldn't have been who I am.
Imagine you've done an EP and one track was hip-hop, one track was garage, one track was junglist and whatever. Do you think that would have made a difference?
I did. I have done it.
Okay.
I've done a bit of everything.
No, but I'm saying...
But people like to pigeonhole.
Imagine your debut single where they can't pigeonhole you because you've given them everything. You've given them a bit of everything. Do you think that would have opened up the avenues for you to be able to be everything throughout your entire career?
Well... But there is avenues, though. I've got hip-hop bookings. I've been booked for drum and bass. I've had an abundance of garage, you know what I mean? So I do it all, but it's always garage MC Vapour. That is where people... That's the slot that people fit me into.
Are you cool with that?
That's the slot. I wasn't years ago, because I was like, I can do this, 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 and this. Why are you just focusing on this one? You know what I mean? But it's like I say, people have their comfort zone and that's where they like to hear me. That's what they acknowledge when they hear me. So that, I've kind of gone full circle. You know what I mean? Grew up listening to jungle, DJing jungle, loved my jungle. When I got into pirate radio, it was the dark garage window. It was that era, so I started working with garage. The first people that ever heard me, the music I got popular with, was that dark garage era. So that's what they want to hear me on. You know what I mean? So I kind of started there, branched out a bit and did some hip hop because I used to like hip hop, like in the 90s, drum and bass. I was a jungle kid, junglist, you know what I mean? So I'd do a bit of everything. And you'd get the little circles of people going, oh, bro, sounds sick on drum and bass. You know what I mean? Oh, bro, I heard your hip hop tune. No one actually knew you could write that deep and write stories and things like that. But it would come back round to a point where I'd be like, I'm kind of wasting my time playing for these tiny little circles of people when there's a mass of people here that pigeonhole me to this. And I was saying earlier that I had my little tantrums and like, fuck's sake, why am I not getting acknowledged for these dots over here? And then I sort of realised that's when I say, you know, I can do what I can do. I can think I am whatever I want, but what the people say I am is what I am. So it got to a point where I realised that instead of being unhappy with where people place me, I should embrace it. And that's what I started to do. So I kind of stopped making hip hop and I stopped MCing to drum and bass, even though people like it because they like the fast thing. It's British, it's like MC culture, you know what I mean? So they like the fact I've always been a fast, quick tongue, that's my style, you know what I mean? So people will say to me, how did you write that flow? How did
I think
you
the
do
only
that?
person I can think who can do that is Harry Shotter.
Yeah, and I done a show with him the other week and we flowed wicked off each other. You know what I mean? He's got that kind of style, I've got that kind of style, you know what I mean? But with our own little twists on it. So it works. So it's like, it's interesting for people to watch. But yeah, I think overall I came round and I kind of just sort of flicked off the bits that weren't really working for me, even though I can do them and I enjoyed doing them, they weren't getting the same reception that this was, you know what I mean? That was my crown.
Can I just add something to that? Do you think it was maybe because you were surrounded by the audience that was into that one thing, and if you'd gone to another audience, maybe you would have been received different by the other audience?
Well, to mention Harry Shotter, that's what he did, because he was
Hip-hop.
lethal.
Yeah,
He was
of
lethal
course,
and
I know, come on,
destruction.
yeah.
So he was doing hip-hop, but there weren't really much of a market for hip-hop. As soon as he transitioned to drum and bass, changed his name to Harry Shotter, you know what I mean? It all popped off.
But it's
for him.
funny because he's doing a lot more hip hop nowadays as well.
Yeah, maybe, because
like-
that's his home. You know what I mean?
100%.
So, you know.
I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Mola Chill Drinks. The company offers drinks in 3 different refreshing flavors: white lemonade, white candy, and twisted melons. Each can contains up to 30 milligrams of cold pressed CBD. So if you're looking for the perfect drink to chill to, then look no further than Mola Chill Drinks. Head over to their website, moladrinks.com, to find out more. What about Stormin and Navigator and people like that? Because you've done stuff with them as well, right?
Yeah, Navigator was like, bro, I was like singing along to Navigator's lyrics when I was 10 and 11. How did I meet Navigator? I think it was, I went to the studio with someone, you know, Urban Dub.
Yes.
So I went to Herb's studio, and when I got there, that Spooker was there, SMK was there, Navigator was there, Harry Shotter was there. And so there was just a few people milling about, you know what I mean? And them to me, bro, I grew up listening to Navigator, but when I got there, people were like turning heads and like, that's
Who's
Vapour. That's Vapour. No, not who's he.
Okay.
They know exactly who it was, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I was like, damn.
Yeah, that's
I
wicked.
weren't expecting them people to know, you know what I mean?
So who instigated the collaboration?
I can't remember the track that it was that I went to record. So I went there. I think it was a track that I'd produced. So I weren't going there to MC. I was going there for the people who were on the track to record their verses. And one of them brought Navigator with them. So then he's seen people's response to me and then heard me for himself. And like Navigator will tell you himself, I love that guy, bruv. He shows me enough respect. He recognises me in the same way I recognise myself. He says to me, bro, you are in a game, you are in a league of your own. No one else can do it like you.
That's coming from someone who was in the league of his own as well.
Of course he was. I was listening to him when I was 10, and he's saying to me, bro, you could put 50 people in a room, you'll burn a lot of them out. So yeah, so it was a thing where Navigator was just there on the day. He wasn't part of the project that I'd gone there to record. And off the back, we just started talking outside, little smoke break, you know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, man, yeah, we'll get on something, we'll do something. And we did. I think I just messaged him and I was like, do you want me to send you a beat? And I sent him a beat and it was me, him and Smirks.
So when was that?
That would have been 2011.
When did you start producing?
I built my first beat in 2002. was probably a pile of shit. But it was the first time I kind of tried to put sounds together, you know what I mean? And then buy it. I think it must have been 2003 was the first time that I built a beat and thought, I like that.
What programs were you using? Were you using Fruity Loops or something?
No, I never used Fruity Loops.
Yeah, wicked.
So I went, I think the first thing I ever opened, it weren't even a proper production thing. It was called like Dance EJ or something like that. Remember that?
I don't remember it. I don't.
Yeah, Dance EJ. It was like, it was literally just dragging blocks, little samples, and you just drag the blocks in, just putting sounds together. You know what I mean?
I've
always
it.
had a musical ear, so I've never had a problem with putting chords together or putting the keys together. You know what I mean? So it was just that. And then the first program that I ever actually used where I was building my own beats was Reason. So I'd say I learnt to build on Reason. And then it got to a point where Reason wasn't really serving what I wanted to do. And then I think it was when I got signed and I was using a studio that had Logic. So I started giving that a go.
Who did you get signed to?
I got signed to an independent label in 2005, which was one of the management on that was also a DJ on False FM. So when he had people invest into it and come up with this idea and build this record label, he was like, I know the guy to go to. I think this is our best option at a first signing. So they came to me and signed me for a year. And I was there was a flat above the studio. Nice studio, all done properly and that. And I was living above the studio. And I'd wake up in the morning, go downstairs, start creating my own stuff. But I think that was a thing where I didn't really fully know what I was doing. I weren't doing garage. I got signed and I was making a hip hop album. I didn't really know what I was doing back then, and I don't think they really knew what they were doing. It was a gamble for us all. It was a gamble for us all. So we put an album together, or half put an album together, and then before that the year was up. And I think when it comes to the next year, we'd sort of got to different places, and just they decided to do their thing. I couldn't even tell you if that label carried on after that year, but I didn't continue with it after that year. So I just went on to making a few tracks. I was working with a few producers in South London, and I was just making tracks. I was just doing things that I thought was sick. You know what I mean? Didn't have a clue about putting music out. Didn't have a clue how to get my stuff on radio or anything like that. All I knew is that I kept up the work rate.
You know what I just find crazy is you're just sitting there saying you didn't know what you were doing, but look at what you did.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why it's always a learning thing, because it's only like I just do stuff, and then when I look back, I'm either like that worked or that didn't work, or I do it that way or I do it different. You know what I mean? So, bro, you say there's like, look what it did. There's a lot of things that didn't pay off. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to sit here and glorify everything as in like I've never stepped a foot wrong. I've put a lot of time into stuff that's gone fucking nowhere.
Right. Okay. So social media, right? What we see on social media is everyone's putting out the perfect them. They're not showing any of the mistakes and stuff. Now, you've just addressed that there's a whole bunch of mistakes. You know what I mean? Do you want to talk to us about a couple of those mistakes and show the vulnerable side of you?
I definitely know that. Well, so I think like I was on MySpace, and MySpace was a place where I first realised that there's a generation now that came along after me. And even though it was like 5 years ago that I was massive, these people don't fucking care. They're doing them now. It's them and their mates. You know what I mean? I'm over here. They don't really know who I am. I'm there. I know everything I've ever done. You know what I mean? I know I can do exactly what you're doing. So MySpace was a thing where it was kind of a bit of a dividing thing, where there was the people going, bro, you're a fucking legend. You're sick. I'm so glad I found you and I can follow you here. For a place to listen to your music. And then there was the people who didn't give a shit. So MySpace was a thing. And there was a couple of other like early social media things that didn't really last. I remember I was on a thing called FacePick, you remember FacePic? That was before Facebook.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Didn't really
I
last
remember the
too
name.
long.
I was never on it.
Yeah, some blue and orange website. It was like, and
You
then you
remember
had
that?
Bebo and things like, you know what I mean? There was a few things that were out, but they never really popped off. And then Facebook come about, and that was in a time where garage, like, when did Facebook come about? What, 04, 05? And then it didn't really sort of start making a big thing till like 07. Because 05 and 06 was about MySpace. I mean, I don't give a shit about Facebook. I was always quite late to come onto social media because I'm not the sort of person who wants to do what everyone else is doing. If there's something on Netflix and the whole fucking world's talking about it, I kind of lose interest. With the social media thing, I think Twitter was the one thing where I realised that times are changing. I grew up in a time where I could be who I wanted to be, do what I wanted to do, and it worked. And then Twitter was a place where you could speak your thoughts, speak your thoughts, speak your thoughts. And that's where I started to realise that not everyone wants to hear your free thinking. You know what I mean? So I said a lot of my opinions on Twitter that didn't go down well. You know what I mean? Couldn't tell you what, just my opinions on just random day-to-day stuff probably, or what was happening in the news at the time. But yeah, so that was like a place where I was sort of showed, I don't know if vulnerability is the right word, as you say, you know what I mean? But it was definitely a place where I've thought, oh, fuck myself, I shot myself in the foot there, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then again, everyone was on Instagram from 2009, and I was like, what is the point in being on somewhere where you just upload a photo? You can't, what am I going to do with that? You know what I mean? Just a photo with a caption. I'm not going to take a photo of my toe. You know what I mean? So then I didn't join Instagram until 2015. And realistically, like I was doing a lot of stuff in like 2012 and I weren't really on any socials other than Twitter. So then I was putting out like links to stuff. All of my videos and the things I was putting out was going on YouTube. But like I say, I weren't the kind of guy to go mad on the promoting, and I'd just build a video and expect to put it online and it just gets thousands and thousands of views off me titling it MC Vapour. It didn't happen like that. So then, it weren't until about 2015, all the stuff I put out in 2012, people could see that I was active. I remember there was loads of people coming to me to record. They were saying, everywhere I'm looking, I'm seeing your stuff. But then it weren't until like 2015 when I started to push my Facebook page, put active content on there, start using my Instagram, that things started to grow.
So imagine, like I said, let's go back to the record label. Now, I'm guessing that they came to you as an individual, they offered you the deal, you took the deal, it didn't work out. Was there ever any point where somebody was acting as a manager or somebody was acting as, advisor or something to make things work right? Or did they just leave you to your devices?
It weren't really a thing where they were my manager. It was they were a company, and they had people within that company. You had the main boss. Then you had the next guy down who would be the one who shows up every day, make sure that the A&R guy is doing it. I had people like getting me in magazines and things like that. You know what I mean? A guy called Kojo, and he was always like, he fully believed in me. He was like, bro, you are like the best person I've heard come out of UK. Got me a sponsor from Nelly's clothing range, Vocal. So I was getting sent all these clothes, and I didn't, at the time, I'd never even heard of them. You know what I mean? But I'm sponsored by Nelly's clothing range, and I'm in a Blues and Soul magazine next to Angie Stone, DJ magazine. You know what I mean? I was doing some things that like people were like, fucking hell. Hip Hop Connection was another magazine I was in. So I was in all these magazines to do with hip hop and that, just off of an unfinished album with this record label. You know what I mean? So, but it weren't really that I had a manager. I had the record label, and they were working actively to make me something big because I was their product at the time. So I never really had a manager as such like that. No, not back then.
What was your relationship like with Stormin?
I got on really well with Stormin, bro. He used to come to me to record. There's like I said, I've had an interview recently where we was talking about it, and I said there's a lot of tracks that Stormin did, mainly like his freestyle bits and the stuff he put on SoundCloud, but there's a lot of stuff that Stormin recorded that people wouldn't even know, that all the vocal effects and it was engineered by me. Even if he came with a beat that he bought off someone, or even if it was off YouTube, he would come to me to do the vocals, and I would engineer his vocals for him. I spent a lot of time with Stormin. You know, he'd come to mine, record, and then say, "I've got a video shoot at 5 o'clock," so I'd roll with him to the video shoot. I'm in videos with a mask on. You don't know it's me in the video, but you know what I mean. Me and Stormin used to do quite a lot. He took me up Kiss FM when he was releasing his album. I had a track on the album featuring. So I went up there and I done the thing. You can still watch it now. It was on Logan Sama's show. Me, Stormin and Hyper from the Nasty Crew.
When did you hear the news? Did you hear it instantly?
Yeah, bro. I used to speak to him a good few times a week.
Right,
I'd
so
go and have lunch with Stormin in the local cafe. You know what I mean? So it weren't a thing where I had to wait for the grapevine to let me know. You know what I mean? I got a direct phone call.
Yeah, I remember when Harry Shotter put up a post straight away. I was just like, "Oh, you're joking."
Yeah, no. See, I didn't have to wait for the posts. I knew before the posts went up. Yeah, but no, Stormin, mate. Stormin, yeah, was an energy, bro. When he was in the room, that dude was cracking jokes. Everyone in the room was bussing up. You know what I mean? He was a high energy guy, and it's like he's even still now having an energy like he's in the room. He's missed. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro. And I can't believe that's like what, 7 years ago?
Quite a while now, yeah.
Yeah, crazy, bro.
Would you consider yourself more of an artist, or would you consider yourself more of a spitter?
I guess it depends on what year you're asking me. So I've always been a spitter. Always been a spitter. When I was in school, I was a DJ, and then we'd switch over. My mates would jump on the decks, I'd jump on the mic. Then I'd jump on the decks, they jump on the mic. I was always the guy that they'd be like, "You actually sound good on the mic." You know what I mean? You should like start writing your own stuff.
You started as a DJ and then went on to rhyming.
I had decks from when I was like
Okay. What was your DJ
14.
name?
Huh?
What was your DJ name?
DJ Polo.
What, as in Coogee Rap and Polo?
Huh?
As in Coogee Rap and Polo?
No. No one, nothing you've heard of. If you've heard of a DJ Polo, that weren't me. Because anything I did as DJ Polo was just me as a school kid messing about.
Oh, right, okay.
You know what I mean?
No, because there was obviously, I don't know if you know Coogee Rap and Polo.
Nah, but my Polo was just a school kid.
Okay.
Nothing ever went anywhere, has it?
All right.
I made tapes in my room.
No, just so you know, there was a Coogee Rap and Polo,
okay.
they're big American, Big Daddy Kane level.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're massive.
No, that definitely weren't me.
Right, so from the DJing, then obviously you discovered
Started MCing,
yeah.
and then I was just a spitter, and then it got to a point where it became the thing where you'd build your own beats at home. You know what I mean? People had Cubase, people had like the very early versions of Logic or whatever. So I started to build beats that I liked for myself. That's another thing as well. I've never sort of started doing something with the view of, I'm going to start doing this as a business. I'm going to start doing this for other people. I just do it for myself. When I first started getting my clothing, it weren't to sell. It was just for me to wear for myself. Came up with the logo. I got someone to do the logo for me, and then just started wearing it. That is me, tailor-made. I'm tailor-made. My surname's Taylor.
Okay, and I'm guessing that's the record label as well, Tailor-Made Records.
Tailor-made music, yeah.
Oh, Tailor-Made
So
music.
I started doing stuff. I just do things for me, and once people get an interest in it, if there's enough interest there, I'll start doing it for other people.
Is that just a means for you to put your own music out, or actually looking to expand the record label? And
It was a bit of both. Originally, it was the label was for me to put my own music out, but also for me to put out similar music that other labels weren't interested in. So it was a space for like artists to breathe who were being sort of feeling claustrophobic everywhere else. You know what I mean? So yeah, primarily I am a spitter, but overall I'm an artist because I do everything. Right? I've got a track called Give. And it's basically saying I need to give myself a break because I am my own manager, artist, like performer, writer, do my own videos, produce my own beats, put my own stuff out on my own label, print my own clothes. I wish I could print my own money, but I can't. You know what I mean? I just do everything.
So literally the only thing you didn't do was come up with the logo.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and start my own bank.
but that's what a lot of people, if they're not artists, they don't understand that this is like a 24-hour round the
Bro, it
clock.
is.
It doesn't
It's
stop.
consumed my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's a thing where, like, I love what I do. Sometimes it's the bane of my life. You know what I mean? I know people, yeah, who are 10 years younger than me, and they left school. They done things the way that it's expected. You know what I mean? Left school, started a business, got married, and now they own like 3 houses, 4 cars. You know what I mean? I've had to sacrifice a lot, bro. You know what I mean? I've got my car out there. I've got a roof over my head. I'm grateful for what I have got, but there's also a lot that I haven't got.
And what
Because
would you say if I was to say, I feel you should have had a lot more as well?
you're one of many people who said that. A lot of people have said to me, bro, how is he there and you're there? You know what I mean? Some people with half the talent, half the ability, half the work rate, you know what I mean? But they've probably business minded, or they've done something, or they've met the right person, like we were saying earlier.
Okay, now let's throw that in the mix. You told me before we went on camera about the situation of you having to live in Eastbourne. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So like things were popping for me in like year 2000, 01, 02. Things were really like, you know what I mean? Back when it was pirate radio culture, and before you had platforms like a lot of the internet platforms, One Extra, none of that existed. You know what I mean? So it was pirate radio culture, forums, Bluetooth. It was a different way of life, but I was popping back then. And then I was made homeless in 2003, and I had to move to Eastbourne. I had no choice. The only thing that I needed to find a job, and I needed to find somewhere to live, because you can't function from living on a park bench. You know what I mean? So it was a thing where I couldn't be who I wanted to be because I didn't have the means to do it. I couldn't function. So I took the first job and the first place that I could find, which happened to be Eastbourne. A friend of mine's mum and dad actually helped me out. They were looking for things for me, and I knew a guy who originally was a fan, and he got in touch, and I built a friendship with him. And then after a while, his name's Dan Clark. His mum and dad helped me out massively in finding a place in Eastbourne, and during that time, I left the area that I was known. Everything that I needed to function was back at home, and I had to move 85 miles away from everything I know. Broke, on my arse, you know what I mean? Didn't have anything. So even though I was up here, I moved and kind of lost everything. So I was the most depressed I've ever been. There's a place called not a lot of people know this. There's a place called Beachy Head in Eastbourne, which is like one of the #1 suicide spots in Europe, because it's like an unguarded 700-foot cliff or whatever it is. And I was sitting up there, just like not on the edge with my legs dangling over, but sitting up there, and they have like hourly suicide patrol driving up and down. Yeah. And the guy got out of the truck and he come over and he said, "We've had a few phone calls about you. You've been up here for a couple of hours. Is everything all right?" So I was driven home. He said, "Jump in the truck," and I was driven home by a suicide patrol. I wasn't suicidal, but they were concerned. You know what I mean? I was sitting up there just gathering my thoughts. Yeah, and that was probably the lowest point of my life that I can remember. So yeah, I moved to Eastbourne, lost everything, and it was that time where I say I come from a window that was like at the end of not the end of garage, but it was transitioning from the 90s garage sound into grime. And it was that window where I was MCing, where I made a name for myself. And then as that window was closing, I moved to Eastbourne. So the new window, which was grime, opened up without me.
It's almost like all these things have been put in the way to stop you from getting where you got to go.
For real. Like when grime come about, yeah, it was a thing where I sort of got myself back. I had a guy, my friend Carl, I phoned him one night and I was like, "Bro, have you still got your van?" He said, yeah. I said, are you busy tonight? He said, no, why? I said, I have to get out of here now. I have to get out of here now. I have to go tonight. So he went, oh, funnily enough, I've just been seeing a girl called Sally. And he was like, I'll just pick Sally up. Do you fancy a road trip, Sal? No worries. I'm going to come pick you up. So I went, right, I'm getting my shit together. I packed my entire flat. And he got there at like 4 o'clock in the morning because it was like a good 2-hour drive, 2.5 hour drive to get to me. Packed up my whole flat, packed it into his van and just drove off. Never went back to that flat. Just abandoned it. After I got back, I left Eastbourne, come back, and I was like, right, I'm ready to continue from where I left off. And the whole grime movement had got started, and it kind of felt like it was, no, you weren't here when we started this. You know what I mean? This is our thing. Your thing's like a couple of years ago doing the dark garage thing. So I'm now the garage MC, not the grime MC, even though what I was doing was basically like very early grime anyway. And yeah, and I just thought I'm never putting myself in that position again where I can lose everything that I've built. And I've built my way up and built my way up. And right now, 2024, I am busier than I've ever been in my whole life. Even though it's probably not the path I'd have carved for myself if everything went my way. But the way it has ended up is that, you know, like I say, that pigeonhole, once I started to embrace it and focus on it, people know where to find me. They know what I do. They know what they like. You know what you're getting. So I focused on it. And I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life. I'm a full-time musician. Full-time musician and full-time dad. Shout out to my daughter Bella. She changed the course of my life as well, probably for the better. No, I just want to say thanks to everyone who has ever supported me. It's been a bumpy ride, obviously. Thank you to you for having me. And yeah, I've got stuff coming out. Watch out for it. A few new tracks in the pipeline. Lots of different tracks with different people.
Look, Vapour, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Crystal King as well for making this happen. So thanks a lot for that, Crystal. She's in the background over there. Aside from that, look, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell to receive notifications, like, share, and get involved in the comment section below. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, bro.
No worries, bro.
I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Mola Chill Drinks. The company offers drinks in 3 different refreshing flavors: white lemonade, white candy, and twisted melons. Each can contains up to 30 milligrams of cold pressed CBD. So if you're looking for the perfect drink to chill to, then look no further than Mola Chill Drinks. Head over to their website, moladrinks.com, to find out more.